Ladies and gentlemen, every single day, we are faced with choices. Some are small, like what to eat for breakfast. Others are life-changing, like which career to pursue, who to trust, or what path to walk when the road splits in two. And let me tell you this, the quality of your life, the strength of your relationships, and even the peace of your own mind, all of it comes down to one thing: the choices you make. Now, here's the catch: making the right choice is not about luck. It's not about guessing, and it's not about hoping you don't mess it up. It's about learning a skill, a mindset that anyone can master if they're willing to slow down, think clearly, and act with purpose. Today, I want to show you exactly that, how to make the right choice. Not just once, but again and again, so that the life you're living tomorrow is one you'll actually be proud of when you look back. Every day, life puts choices in front of us. Some are tiny, like whether to press snooze or get out of bed when the alarm rings. Some are heavier, like whether to say yes to a relationship, whether to leave a job, whether to forgive someone who hurt us, or whether to take a risk that might change our future forever. Now, here's the truth: we've all made choices we regret. Choices where we look back and think, why did I say that? Why did I do that? What was I thinking? And most of the time, it wasn't because we didn't know better. It was because we didn't pause. We reacted instead of responding. We rushed instead of reflecting. We let the heat of the moment control us instead of giving ourselves permission to slow down. And that's what I want to talk to you about today: the power of pause. Because if you want to start making the right choices, not just once, but over and over again, you must learn to pause before you decide. The illusion of urgency: our world moves fast. Notifications buzz, deadlines pile up, opportunities appear and disappear in the blink of an eye. And because of that, we've been tricked into believing that every decision must be made instantly. Think about it. How many times have you sent a text back immediately, only to regret the tone you used? How many times have you bought something because it was limited time only to feel regret when the package arrived? That's the illusion of urgency. It makes us feel like if we don't act right now, we'll miss out or lose control. But let me tell you something: life-changing, very few decisions actually require immediate reaction. Life is not a race. The best choices are almost never the fastest ones. The pause gives you power. The space between stimulus and response. There's a famous line from Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the Holocaust. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose. And in our choice lies our growth and our freedom." Think about that. Between what happens to you, stimulus, and how you react at response, there's a little gap. That gap is your pause. That gap is where wisdom lies. That gap is where you decide if you'll react with anger or respond with clarity, if you'll make a decision out of fear or out of faith. Most people don't use that gap. They skip it. They react instantly. But the strongest people, the ones who consistently make the right choices, they step into that gap. They stretch it. They use it. And the longer you practice that pause, the clearer your decisions become. Practical steps to practice the pause. Now, let's make this real. How do you actually pause when everything in you wants to react? Breathe before you speak. When you feel that rush, the urge to argue, defend, or jump in, take one slow, deep breath. That single breath is your pause button. It might sound simple, but it gives your brain a chance to shift from reaction to reflection. Ask yourself, what do I want long term? In the heat of the moment, we think short terms. I just want to win this argument. I just want to say what's on my mind. I just want to feel good now. But the right choice usually serves the long-term peace over pride, relationships over ego, growth over comfort. Delay your decision when possible. Not sure whether to say yes to that opportunity. Not sure how to respond to that email. Tell the person, let me think about it and get back to you. Buy yourself time. Pressure makes bad choices. Patience makes better ones. Reflect before reacting. Ask yourself, if I choose this path, what will the consequence be in a week, a month, a year? Often, that question alone is enough to reveal the wiser choice. The pause is not weakness. It's strength. Some people think slowing down makes you indecisive. They believe pausing is weakness. But the opposite is true. The pause doesn't mean you're avoiding responsibility. It means you're owning it. It means you care enough about your future to not let your impulses run the show. When someone insults you and you pause instead of firing back, that's strength. When someone pressures you to make a decision and you pause to think, that's strength. When life feels overwhelming and you pause to breathe instead of breaking down, that's strength. The pause is power. The pause is maturity. The pause is wisdom in action. Real life example, let me paint this picture. Imagine you're in an argument with a loved one. Emotions are high. Words are flying. Your instinct is to fire back with something sharp to prove your point. But instead, you pause. You take a breath. You don't say the first thing that comes to mind. You listen. And in that pause, you realize if you said what you wanted to, you damaged the relationship. But because you paused, you chose words that solved the problem instead of making it worse. That one pause could save a friendship, a marriage, or even your own peace of mind. That's the kind of power we're talking about. The ripple effect of right choices. Here's the beautiful thing. One pause leads to one better choice. And one better choice leads to another. Over time, your whole life begins to shift. Because life isn't shaped by one big decision. It's shaped by thousands of small ones. And if you can train yourself to pause in the small choices, you'll be ready when the big ones come. The pause creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence creates peace. Closing inspiration. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you take one thing from today, let it be this: before you react, pause. Before you decide, pause. Before you commit, pause. Because in that pause is the power to make not just any choice, but the right choice. The choice that serves your future, not just your feelings. The choice that builds instead of breaks. The choice that brings peace, not regret. Life is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be present. And when you're present enough to pause, you give yourself the greatest gift possible, the ability to choose wisely. And that, my friends, is how you begin making the right choices. Not once, not sometimes, but every single day. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, every choice you make writes the story of your life. Every yes and every no builds the path you walk tomorrow. Some of those choices will seem small in the moment, but later you'll realize they shaped everything about who you became. And here's the truth. Most of us don't fail because we didn't have opportunities. Most of us fail because when opportunities came, we didn't know how to choose. So the question is, how do you make the right choice? Not the easy one, not the popular one, not the one that feels good for a minute and costs you peace for a lifetime, but the right one. And the answer is this: you need a compass inside of you, a guide that points you back to who you are and what matters most. That compass is your values. Think about it. The reason so many of us regret our decisions isn't because we didn't think. We did. It's because we didn't anchor those decisions to something bigger than the moment. We anchored them to pressure, to fear, to what someone else wanted, to what felt convenient. And when the storm passed, we were left drifting, wondering how we ended up so far from where we wanted to be. But when you make your choices based on values, you may not always choose the easiest road, but you'll choose the right road. Values are the things you stand for when everything else is shaking. Honesty, respect, growth, kindness, discipline, faith, whatever they are for you, they become the guardrails that keep you from driving off the cliff. Without them, you'll swerve in every direction. With them, you can walk through fire and still know you're heading somewhere worth going. Here's the beauty of living by values. You don't have to know what tomorrow holds to know how to handle it. You don't have to predict the future to make the right choice. You just ask yourself, does this decision align with what I believe in? Does it take me closer to the person I want to be, or does it pull me away? If it doesn't align, the answer is simple: you don't do it. Even if it costs you, even if other people don't understand, even if it feels like you're losing something in the short term. Because the truth is, you never really lose when you stay true to your values. You only lose when you betray yourself. Let me tell you this: people may forget your accomplishments, but they'll never forget your character. Your reputation will follow you long after the moment is gone. The choices you make in the dark, when nobody is watching, are the choices that define who you are in the light. And when your values guide you, you never have to live in fear of being exposed. You never have to live with the weight of guilt. You never have to explain away the choices you made, because your life itself will be the explanation. We live in a world that constantly tells us to choose what's fast, what's easy, what's comfortable. But comfort is not the same as peace. You can be comfortable in the moment and miserable when the moment passes. You can be comfortable in a decision that makes you look good today, but breaks you down tomorrow. Peace is different. Peace comes when you know deep down that even if it was hard, you chose right. And peace doesn't just show up by accident. Peace is the product of choices made in alignment with your values. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are you admire them not because they had the perfect life, but because they lived with integrity, because they had the courage to say no when it mattered, because they had the courage to say yes when fear told them to hide, because their choices reflected something solid inside of them. That's what values do. They give you courage when fear whispers in your ear. They give you clarity when confusion clouds your mind. They give you strength when pressure pushes you toward the wrong road. Now, some of you may be sitting here thinking, but what if I don't know what my values are? That's the first choice you need to make. Decide what matters to you. Decide what you want to be known for. Decide the kind of person you want to become when all the noise of life fades away. Because once you know your values, the hardest decisions become a little easier. Not easy, but easier. And every time you make a choice that aligns with those values, you're building a stronger version of yourself. Imagine this for a moment. You're offered a job that pays more than you ever dreamed of, but it requires you to lie, to cut corners, to cheat people. If money is your compass, you'll say yes. But if honesty is your compass, you'll walk away, even if it hurts. And 10 years from now, that decision won't just define your bank account. It will define your soul. Or imagine you're in a relationship where someone asks you to compromise your dignity just to keep their love. If approval is your compass, you'll give in. But if self-respect is your compass, you'll walk away, even through the pain. And that pain will turn into strength because you refuse to betray yourself. That's the difference between living by values and living by feelings. Feelings change. Values don't. Feelings are loud in the moment. Values are steady in the silence. Feelings say, do what feels good right now. Values say, do what will still feel right tomorrow. And every single time you choose values over feelings, you're choosing the right path. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make the right choice, don't just ask, what do I want right now? Ask, who am I becoming through this choice? Because every choice is a step toward a future version of you. And when you let your values guide those steps, you don't just move forward. You move forward with purpose, with clarity, and with peace. The right choice is rarely the easy choice. But when you choose based on values, you don't just win in the moment. You win in the long run. You win the kind of life you don't need to escape from. You win relationships built on respect. You win the freedom of knowing that you stayed true to yourself, no matter the cost. So the next time life places a choice in front of you, pause and look inside. Remember your compass. Ask yourself, does this reflect who I want to be? Does this align with my values? If the answer is yes, move forward with courage. If the answer is no, walk away with strength, because the cost of betraying your values will always be greater than the cost of standing by them. And when you do this, not once, not twice, but again and again, you'll find that life has a way of rewarding integrity. Opportunities that align with your values will find you. People who respect your values will surround you. And most importantly, you will live with a kind of peace that no amount of money, success, or approval could ever buy. So make your choices, but don't make them blind. Don't make them rushed. Don't make them based on fear or pressure. Make them anchored in values. Because at the end of the day, the right choice isn't just about what you gain, it's about who you become. And when who you become is someone you respect, then, ladies and gentlemen, you will have made the right choice. Thank you.